And we are live. Okay. We are live. We are live. So I'm just gonna take a few to share the link to my WhatsApp and my Facebook groups. We want everybody to get a chance to experience what's about to happen, man. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be a good one. You know, they said this is one of them ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of those ones. All right, so let me just send it out to my WhatsApp contact. My WhatsApp contact. So I'll send it to you first, MP, so you can send
I'm
it.
trying to do the same thing too.
Oh, I'm about to send you the link right now. All right, good. So now showing. Click the link. I gotta get somebody to be doing this here whilst I'm on it. I'm on live, man. You know, gotta get a budget. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
gotta
Onyx,
get me a
Onyx
budget.
is in the house. Onyx, good night to you.
Who's in the house already? Let me see.
Onyx, Onyx Duncan, the one
Onyx
and only.
Duncan. Yeah, big up Onyx, man. You see the man is doing amazing things, man.
Yeah.
Continue doing what you're doing, brother. Continue doing what you're doing. And I'm just taking some time to share the link to all of my
Onyx, that's your entry fee. You were supposed to be sharing the live now.
Yep. Just go ahead and share the live, people. We want to get as much viewers as possible before we start. We have the honorable in the house tonight.
Selena Fraser, good evening to you, my dear. And Birdman, walaikum salam.
We have the honorable ourselves. Uh, give me a couple more minutes. I know we're going now with my internet. I just usually got the best internet, when I'm on
I
these
know
when I'm
that.
when I'm on these programs. But you know what I think it is? I think it's my phone, the iPhone.
Okay.
Like the iPhone be acting up, like, cause this is one of them that I brought home when I came in 2016, so it's about 5 years old,
Okay.
and it's still going strong. But like when it comes to certain things, it be
Yeah.
moving mad slow. So share to a page. All right, good. Let me share it to a page, and then share it to a page. All right, let me see. Five now. You know how much contacts I have on my phone, MP? You won't guess.
About 750.
Seven only? Like
750.
2,938 to be exact. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
just I'm a data person, so I like to keep, even if like we just run into each other concerning something else. Like I got people that I know from like my fruits business, people that I
Mhm.
know from my shoe shine business, books customers. So it's a bunch of different numbers, like customers in the media, or people in the media, a bunch of different stuff, man. So I would always like keep the numbers. So let me
Wow.
just
Jamal, I see some of my regular from Building Bridges here with me this evening.
yeah, man, they're in for a
Miss
treat, man.
Joan
They're
Ramacindo, good evening. Stefan, welcome.
they're in for a treat.
Yes, yes.
They're in for a treat tonight, man. This is gonna be a good look.
Yep. So, as you come on, you are asked to share, I would join Jamal in saying, please share the live so
Please
that,
share. Yep.
yes, I can share my experience and you can be a part of that experience too. So share the live stream.
Yep. Yep. I got like about 1 more minute,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna start.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Make sure to share the live stream. And if you guys have any question that you would like me to ask MP, Natasha, feel free to put it in the comments.
Oh
Feel
God,
free
I
to
see
put it in the
my
comments.
Rosignol crew, Stacy Caleb, teacher Stacy, good evening, welcome. Please share the live stream.
Please share the live. Please share the live. Please share the
I have
live.
a lot of teacher friends.
You are a teacher, or you were a teacher, right?
Oh, I worked at education.
Or you worked in education. Well,
Mhm.
we're gonna get into the details. We got
Indeed,
time.
indeed.
We got time. I got 4 more groups to share this live in. All right, good. I think we can start right now. Yes, we can. So, good evening to all the viewers who've already been in tune. Everybody in the chat, I see Joan Ramasindo, Stefan Hopkinson, Selena Fraser, Stacey Caleb, Onyx, Duncan, Selena Fraser, Kim Kin, Birdman. Good evening to everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Intoxicated, the Sip and Chat show with yours truly, Jamal Adams. Tonight I have royalty in the building. Royalty is in the house tonight. She's going to be gracing us for the next hour. Hopefully, we can get to our 1.5. But I know the woman is a very, very busy woman. She had an hectic day. So I'm not going to try to draw this interview too much. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give her the floor so that she can go ahead and introduce herself to the viewers. Go
All
right
right.
ahead.
So Jamal, thank you very much for having me on Intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, let me put that out there. You can be intoxicated with a lot of things. It
Exactly.
doesn't necessarily
It
mean
means
alcohol
alcohol. Facts. I'm glad.
because MP
Mm-hmm.
Lewis does not
Mm-hmm.
support alcohol. So you can
Nope.
be intoxicated with love,
Love.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you will get from me this evening, and always you will get love from me. I see my friend Evelyn Richards, who before now was asking me, but how much do you know? Do I know about you? Now she's a very good buddy of mine, and
Mm-hmm.
so let me go right ahead and introduce myself. I am Natasha Singh-Lewis, and I was born in Rosignol, actually at Fort Wellington Hospital, but I was raised in Rosignol. Rosignol is a village in West Berbice. Um, I went to school in Rosignol, so I went to Rosignol Nursery, Rosignol Primary, Rosignol Secondary. Um, I did many things, good things, as a teenager in my home community. I was always focused as a young person, um, in making my own path for myself. But in a nutshell, that's who I am from back home. I am a regular country girl, and you will see that sometimes coming out when emotions get the better of me. You will see the country comes out even in my tone and my language. The country comes out in me sometimes. I am married. I have three girls, and so I carry many other titles, not only MP Lewis. I have many other titles. Jamal, in a nutshell, that's who I am. But if you feel that I need to add more, go right ahead.
We will get into that. We've only been here for 9 minutes so far, and to the 9 minutes we spend like about 6 minutes sharing the link. So we'll get to everything else. But before we get into any of Any other questions? How are you doing mentally, MP? I've seen you've been non-stop. You're like the Energizer Bunny. Even when you have your religious holidays, we
Yeah.
just still be seeing you active. How are you doing mentally?
Um, Jamal, I have a great responsibility, and I take my responsibility seriously. I've always been a working woman from age 19. I've started to work until this day. Um, because of my portfolio, I have responsibility in all 10 administrative regions of our beautiful country. And I feel it is my duty to represent the people in the best way possible. And if that means that I have to go, then go it is. If that means that we don't get to sleep in the night, because at the end of the day, the people will hold me accountable, then that's what it is. And I will continue to do that. But I want to address your question specifically, how am I doing mentally?
Hmm.
There are days that aren't so good. And I want to say that in a very respectful way. What you get from me tonight is who I am. I've always been upfront and in a very lawless way. I would say to people, my story is on the lantern post, so you don't have to go digging for it, right? But I've come on Intoxicated tonight, and I will share openly and honestly. And I hope those who are listening and viewing will be respectful of that.
Definitely, we don't tolerate disrespect here at all. Instant block and delete.
Exactly.
Instant
Um,
block and delete. Go ahead.
so there are days when you have good days, and there are days when you're not the best, and so you need a little bit of encouragement. And I say that with the greatest of respect. Every leader that you meet is a human being, and so when you roll apart all of those images or covers, whatever you want, there's a person behind that.
Mhm.
And so, many things have happened to us here in Guyana. And the most important thing that would have happened to us, and some people, they're taking it casually because that's how they deal with things, it's COVID-19.
Mhm.
And so COVID has caused us to adjust who we are as a people. For instance, my greatest joy is meeting people, especially the ones that I call my friends, and socializing. That's where I find comfort. I'm not allowed. My value system and the way I grew up, my goals and all of that put in a package, it doesn't allow me to exhale the way some of my other friends exhale. And so I relax in good company, right?
Okay.
So I'm saying all of this to say to you that with the getting accustomed to a new life, the new normal of operating within the regulations of COVID-19, it's not always the best in any one of us. We have had better days. And so coming out of that, you find that you have to adjust to the new normal. And I am no exception. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter. And there are all those other responsibilities that I have. And so there are so many other people that are closer in my circle that looks forward for me. And so coming back to the question of how I'm doing mentally, I want to say to you that there are days when I'm not so good, but I have no choice but to show up.
Totally,
And
totally
in
understand.
showing up, it puts you in a different tone, a different setting, and so you manage. But how many of us are mentally strong to overcome those feelings of feeling down and still have to take care of our responsibilities?
That is true.
So honestly, there are days when I don't want to do what I have to do, but I don't have a choice. And I'm grateful that I have something to do and I have a responsibility and I take it seriously. Today is
I'm
one
all,
of the good days.
I'm also grateful that you take your responsibilities serious also.
I do. I do.
You know, what we normally do here on Intoxicated TV, we would like, well, not we, I just keep saying we, like I have a whole team of people helping me. What I normally do is like I would send out like questions for like a pre-interview, and then I would do an itinerary whereby I send the questions to the guests so that they would know exactly what we were talking about. But in this case, I didn't get to do that. You know, we didn't get to create an itinerary. So what I want, and it was basically because of what I wanted to do afterwards. I wanted us to basically have a gap. You know, I didn't want it to be like a one-sided interview whereby I'm just sitting here asking you questions, because I'm sure you have questions that you would like to ask. So, you know, I'm hoping that you would ask some questions whereby I could, you know, share
Certainly.
some answers. So it's going to be a gap. So anytime you feel you want to ask a question, you know, feel free to do so. But you just mentioned that you're a country girl. You know, when I was growing up and we hear that slang country girl, we just always say it's like people who in know about nothing. That was like our perception of when you're, oh, she's a country girl, he's a country why. It's like
Yeah.
they really know nothing about. Okay, Dad. What's your definition of that slang country girl in this modern time?
Country girl or countryman is a stereotype exactly
Yeah.
as you
But
describe it.
it means
Um,
something different currently to what it meant back then. Because
I don't know what
them
I
country
don't
guys
know what
shine
it
bad right
means.
now, yo.
I don't know what it means now, but let me tell you when I call you countryman, what it means. It means that we grew up in the country area where we were not given all of the niceties of life as a little child. And so we know about swimming in the canal. We know about climbing the mango tree and picking mangoes and eating fruits as our snack. We know about playing salt pass out on the street. We know about climbing a coconut tree and all those kinds of things, things that the town people don't really get to do.
And y'all know how to
It
cook too.
differentiates
Country
when you
girl know how
come
to
from
cook.
town, when you come from country, you got some different skill set.
Okay,
You
okay.
understand? Yes, yes.
I can remember in high school that debate used to be crazy about who's a country girl and what it means and all these crazy stuff. It's
So
crazy, man.
so I tell you my understanding of country girl. You tell me what you think it means.
What it meant while I was growing up is that, you know, this person is basically not like civilized,
Uh-huh.
whereby, you know, they ain't got sense, you know, they can't dress properly. But one of the things that was always attached to a country girl is that they could cook. They know to keep their man like tongue girl can't cook. I mean, I was a country girl, but at least I could cook. At least I could
Yeah.
clean. All your tongue girl could do is dress up and look nice, but you can't cook and clean. So that's
That
what it
those are
meant.
some serious
Yeah.
stereotypes, Jamal, and we still have them today.
But it means something totally different now. When you hear country girl, it's like, okay, it doesn't like, it doesn't mean what it meant back then. No, it's like, okay, it's just a slang right now.
Country girl is wife material. Have you ever heard that?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
Good,
wife
good.
material. You know, somebody who
Yes.
can take care of the kids. You know,
Hmm.
somebody who values relationship.
Yes. The
But
older
right now,
people say go down to the country and get a girl when you're ready for marriage.
but let me tell you something now, man. They ain't got country girl and tongue girl. All them is girls.
I
Ah, let me
wouldn't
see
know,
same.
Jamal.
Ah, let me see same thing right now, man.
I wouldn't
Nothing.
know. I
Man,
wouldn't
I'm
know. And I
telling
see
you,
a lot of my country people in the comment section here tonight.
man, they got country girl and tongue girl right now, man. Ah, let me see same thing, man. Ah, them dressing up nice, nice, nice. Ah, them wearing makeup, ah, them wearing weave, ah, them is dope chicks
Yeah.
as you would call them in New York. But you did mention earlier that you grew up in Rosignol. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that experience, your childhood experience growing up there in Rosignol, man.
Jamal, I want to say that you are very privileged and you're a close friend of mine.
No,
I
I'm like
knew
your son.
I
Yeah.
knew that one day I will have to go into that pocket and speak about myself as a public figure. I've never done this before. And people don't like to speak about themselves because not everything was nice and glory. And
Hmm.
sometimes you need to tell the story as it is so that the younger generation, and I'm not saying that I'm old, let me put that out, yes, but I'm proud of who I am and how far I've gotten. I thank God for that. In Rosignol, I grew up in almost to the back dam, a place called Mackenzie Street. It's now some people say Fort Street, Rosignol, right? My mother was a seamstress. Well, she doesn't do anything now. She's happily stayed home at this time. But my father, who has passed away, I think about 19 or 20 years now, he was a teacher at the Rosignol Secondary School. And so I grew up from humble beginnings. Rosignol, as I knew it then, is very, very different from what it is now. It was a clean place. I said to you that we used to swim in the canal, right? Not that
Hmm.
I big swimmer, but I could, get out of a trouble. You can't do that now because over time the population has grown and they have environmental issues now. Back in those days, you dispose of your garbage. So you had a sense of taking care of your environment, man, woman, and child. And so there was this community effort to keep that place clean. I can't tell you when I go there, and very strangely, Jamal, Rosignol is the center of my constituency that I have
Wow.
responsibility for in Region 5.
Wow. Nice.
And Jamal, it breaks my heart when I have to. I say, I don't go to work, I go home. That's how I say it. I go home. And when I see the state of neglect of that community, it really bothers me because back then it was not the best, but it was a clean community. It was a community where people looked out for each other's children. And we didn't have cars and motorbike. We had who had a bicycle, it was a good thing. So you walk to and from school at least 2 times a day. And in that place called Rosignol, it's a haven for economic development. But neglect has caused it to be in the current state it is. And it's going to take a huge, huge effort to bring it back to pristine again. But Rosignol is my home village. I love it and I'm never going to give up on it. I have some very good memories there.
And what are some of the schools that you would have attended while growing up there in Rosignol, man? From
So
nursery.
yes,
Yeah.
I attended the Rosignol Nursery School. I remember one of my teachers, Miss Claville, and Teacher Rochelle. Teacher Rochelle died. Miss Yvette, I think she's at number 5. I'm not sure. And Teacher Pat. Teacher Pat is now overseas. I went to Rosignol Primary School. The primary school is still the same place, and I went to Rosignol Secondary School. After that, I would have went way back those days. The young girls went to what we call the commercial school, where you learn to type on a typewriter. And that was a skill I acquired very early in my life. And after that, I went to the New Amsterdam Technical Institute that is across the river. And then
Okay.
I became a big girl then, and I made all my decisions after that.
So while attending Rosignol Secondary School, what was young Natasha aspiring to become when she gets older?
You know, I can't answer that question. I
Okay.
watch my girls grow up, and I have to tell you honestly, and there are some things that really drive me, and I can tell you it is all of these little things that came out of my childhood days that really inspire me and push me to go to the next level. I watch my girls, like the 13-year-old wants to be a lawyer. She knew that while she was in primary school. The 15-year-old wants to be an engineer. And if that doesn't work out, she wants to be a pilot. And they already started plotting their profession, and they are moving on according to their plans. When I was in secondary school, I didn't have all that kind of guidance and molding. And I say this in a very nice way, but I don't really think that I was given any sort of career guidance. Couple of things.
Even with your father as a teacher?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. My father was an industrial arts teacher. He was a disciplinarian in the school. He knew that you had to be in school, and as long as you are in school, you know what you had to do.
So
But
go ahead, go ahead.
but things didn't work out the way we wanted it.
Okay.
He chose some way along his career. He chose different things, and life turned out different for him.
Okay.
And my mother, being a housewife, um, really took on the whole scenario of raising us, because daddy went his own way, and that was fine. But all those things contributed um, to me being, I would say, very respectfully, that I had to do it on my own. And
Okay.
I don't blame my parents for it, because at the time that's what life was for them. And
Okay.
they did what they had to do to the best of their ability. And so I was not the shining star in my secondary school.
Oh, okay.
And I did the best that I can at that time. And
So
so when I would have graduated from secondary school, I was not receiving the first prize and the second prize and so on. I barely made it through. It
me
was a
too.
struggle. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
And I say this with so much respect for everyone who contributed to my life. Because today, Jamal, as I reflect that I wasn't the brightest star in the secondary school, and I really say this to our young people, so that they know that wherever they are in life, you have a purpose in life. You just got to hold on and keep going. Today, I am a holder of a master's degree from the University of Guyana. And so while my situation in the secondary school was not the best one, and I don't approve of it as my best effort, I didn't let that determine who I am. You know, I met my cousin at my niece's wedding over the weekend, and he came back from overseas for the wedding. And so he was asking me, he says, sis, so what do you do now? And I didn't want to engage him in the whole story that, I worked 16 years in public service and the government just dismissed me. I didn't want to have that conversation at a wedding. So I just said to him, I said, well, I'm a member of parliament now,
Mm.
He was so surprised. And,
Wow.
and he said so many things. He said, but if you think about it, it's long now you stay, so ways doing this thing. So this is the right thing for you. I said, thank you, my brother. And
So,
and I had to let it go.
based on your own experience, with your parents, and some of the life lessons that you would have learned from that experience, what are some of them that you're basically giving, or allowing your own kids, now that you're a mom, to experience, or even trying to keep some of those from them? What are them?
That's a very interesting question, Jamal. Let me say upfront that I do not practice any form of violence. So I do not beat my children.
No licks.
No licks. Period. No licks. I threaten them, but
No
and,
licks.
and they know by now that when I get serious, they have to do what they have to do, or and they will ask you because they're children, they're teenagers, they will test the waters, like I might have done with my parents too. I remember getting away to go swim in that canal and
Like
coming home
swim. You used to like
after
swim.
after hours of being in that Gaisuku canal, your skin white and your eyes red.
Hmm.
Bare licks when you come home, bare licks. Now I take my children to the pool to learn to swim. And the older one, she came off at competition stage. And so I try to do things, I try to live in a way where I understood where my parents' shortcomings were, and I try to fix it. I say to people, when you recognize something is generational and it's bad, you have a responsibility to break the cycle. And so I believe that people should not beat their children, and that because they do, that's why we have a very violent society. Um, now, so that's one of the things that I try to do differently. I raise my children to respect each other, to understand that when you have differences, that you don't beat the weaker person. You try to have conversations so that you work your differences out. Doesn't always work like that in my house, but we try to work on that.
So you have three daughters, or do you have
I do have three
three daughters?
princesses. Yes.
Three princesses.
Yes.
Uh it's no secret that this time that we're living in right now, it's a crazy time when it comes to being a parent, and also when it comes to being a child. How do you how do you guide your kids, whereby, because even the Orthodox Jews are having problems whereby allowing their kids to follow their own culture, because of social media and outside influences and peer pressure and stuff. How do you manage all of that, being that you have girls, and you know what society says about having girl kids, especially when they're in that teenage years?
Jamal, I don't know why you're pelting all these hardball questions at me tonight. Me, you good?
No,
But this is
I
not
just
good
want to know.
hardball question. Let me say to you that as a parent, you have to always be an active parent. You don't be parent because you're biological, because you went through the whole 9 months and so on. You have to always be an active parent. And one of the things that I heard um, my two girls talking with their cousins this weekend, and they found out that it's a common thing, is the lectures that they get.
Mhm.
So we have to talk, and we have to understand where we are. And I can tell you, I was sharing the review you got with my 13-year-old, and she rolled up on the carpet. She said, "Mommy, you just used the word dope." I said, girl, who's reading this thing? Somebody said to Jamall that that lady is dope. So I want you to explain to me what that means. And she said, you were lit, man. You're lit. I said, well, you got
Yep,
to know
yep,
what that means too.
yep, yep,
Because I
yep,
can
yep.
only associate lit with fire. So you're on the right track. You're on the right
Yeah,
track, mommy.
yeah.
And so one of the things that you have to do is to have that kind of relationship with your children. And trust me, sometimes the vocabulary, the actions, and everything that goes with teenage life is very, very different from what you're accustomed to. You only get to know what's happening in their lives if you are actively involved, not sneaking around.
Especially when
Because
you have girl kids,
I
right?
say to parents, sneaking around is called invasion of privacy. And yes, children are, especially teenagers, are allowed to have privacy. That is how you teach them boundaries and respect. So if you don't teach them and you don't practice that at home, don't ask for it when they get to 17, 18, because it's going to be a new concept for them. So yes, it's not always easy. I also do strange things like some of the other mothers do. I disconnect the Wi-Fi at 9 o'clock
Okay.
because yes, because that is the only way I will ensure that they have the maximum hours of sleep because we wake up at 4:30 in the morning. That's our first prayer. And so when it's holiday time, I flex a little bit. But the little one says, Mommy, if you take off the internet and I can't sleep, I would read. And she has something called Wattpad. And I had to check it out. And then I realized this 13-year-old is reading romance on Wattpad. And she
Oh,
wants me to believe that that will enhance her vocabulary. I said, but you can read and have an experience, but there's a limit to that.
definitely.
And so it's how you approach it. Before, I used to have a high hand approach. And then I realized that from talking with my colleagues who've had experiences like this, that I can't use this authoritative way that I've had, with the first one who was very submissive and anything. These two are going to test my boundaries. And
Mm.
so I had to adopt to a different approach. It's not easy, especially with a mother like me who is in region one today and tomorrow I'm in region three and those kinds of things. But I do try and I pray a lot because that's where my strength comes from.
I'm actually happy that you mentioned, the fact that you just travel a lot. How does that affect you as a parent, your parental duties when you gotta be in region three tomorrow, region 10 the next day, the next week, region one? How does that affect your parental duties?
It does in many ways. And so I'll share a story with you. Um, I was coming home from Parliament one evening about 8:30. I was very close to home, and my 13-year-old called me on the phone, and she said, "Mommy, where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm at work. You know that I went to Parliament." I said, "What happened?" She said, "Well, I'm waiting to talk to you." I said, "About what?" She said, "I want to talk about our non-existent relationship."
What?
And I was so shocked. I was just 2 streets away from homecoming. And I said, "Okay, we will talk about that shortly. I will be home." Now, this is a child that lives in the same house with me and want to talk about our non-existent
Existent
relationship.
relationship.
That's
Mm.
how she sees our relationship. And it's because when I was employed with government, I had a 8 to 4 job, and sometimes I travel out in the regions. But now that I'm a member of parliament, I have greater responsibilities, so I am out a lot more. But let me tell you how I manage that. I have a very supportive family. I have a very supportive family. And so when I have to get to, let's say, I'm going to get the ferry to go to Region 2, and so I have to leave home at 3 o'clock. The afternoon before, my eldest child will help to organize things at home, so it's okay for me to get up and go at that time. And then my husband, very, very good support, will take care of things during the day, all of the major things. So things fall into place. And all I have to do as mommy is call on the phone to ensure that this is done and this is going right and so on. So you can only do what I am doing if you have a very supportive family, and that I do have. And I'm grateful to God for it.
Nice. And next question: how does your professional life affect your religious life? Because I know you would have to pray multiple times a day, and how is that possible with all the traveling that you just be doing and stuff like that?
Well, I'll tell you, as a Muslim, you will know that Islam is a way of life. So it's what you do every single day, and the consciousness that you bring to your life all day long. And so you will know that there's specific times that I have to pray.
Mhm.
And so my colleagues who are with me in Parliament will know when it's time and you miss me from in the house. My boss has given me the opportunity, and I really want to thank him publicly, Joseph Harmon, for giving me his office space to pray.
Okay,
And so
nice.
at 12:30, I will go with my mat and I will take my 10 minutes and I will do what I have to do. And then when we break for dinner at 4:35, I go and I do what I have to do. And so the onus is on me to ensure that I fill myself spiritually with the little time that I have. Because as a Muslim, you will know that if the job that I have precludes me from practicing my religion, then that job becomes prohibited for me.
Definitely. I don't know if you were the first female Muslim MP, but for me, you're the first one I could remember. And one of the things that I admire about you is that you're always in your Muslim attire. It doesn't matter where you go. Even in Parliament, you're always in your Muslim attire. Does that kind of put any kind of does your attire and the way you dress, and when you go into Parliament and see everybody else is dressed differently, does that put any kind of pressure on you to let me try to blend in? I should try to wear a pantsuit or no?
No,
Well, that's good. I mean,
Jamal, let me say to you that I've said at the beginning that Islam is a way of life.
okay,
And I was not always a practicing Muslim. So let me
okay,
answer the first question. In Parliament, there were Muslims before me, Muslim women,
okay.
and I want to make the distinction here between a Muslim woman and a practicing Muslim woman. So you would have had the likes of Bibi Shadiq, I can
Okay.
remember, Amna Ali,
Mm-hmm.
and I really can't remember any other Muslim woman. But somebody who wears this is called a kimar,
Yes.
but the entire thing is called a hijab.
Mm-hmm.
So a hijab refers to modesty, modesty in speech, modesty in action, modesty in your clothing, and everything else that brings about that way of life. And so I don't know if you would have observed, I don't really go with the flock.
I know that.
You understand?
I know
I
that.
had my bit of following, but I'm a leader. And so I decide my route, and that's where I'm going. It's very, very difficult for you to persuade me otherwise. Um, and that's because I've had many, many, many opportunities to decide what my purpose is in life. And as long as you recognize what your purpose is in life, it is very difficult for people to move you off of that track. I am not immune to peer pressure. I have had my fair share of it, and I've erred many times. But let me say to you, hardly at this
Hardly,
point in time can it really
hardly.
happen. Hardly, hardly.
And a
I'm not saying
couple
that it can't.
a couple of weeks ago, I saw you guys did an online to at Parliament. Man, tell us a little bit about that experience. What was it like? I can't recall ever seeing that happening before. I don't know if that was the first time it happened or there was other times.
I didn't get the first part of the
The
question.
all nighter that you guys pulled in
Oh,
Parliament. You know, I can't recall that
that,
happening ever. Was that the first
yeah.
time Parliament
It,
went
no,
right through?
in
Oh,
this parliament, it was the first time. But when the APNU AFC was in government, I learned from my colleagues that that was a regular
really?
for the APNU
No,
AFC.
I know they used to go like 3, 4 in the morning, but to see you guys coming out a day clean after 7, I've
Yes,
never
yes.
saw that before. I've
We
never,
have
I've
set the
never,
record for
I've never.
time.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yes.
3 and 4 o'clock, it was regular time. But
I was really caught off guard.
mm,
I did not anticipate going until, I mean, that's the first time I've prayed my morning prayers at
at work.
4:30. That was a first for me. I've always done my prayer either in a hotel room or in my house because that's where I slept. And I worked the whole night. And so that as it is, you got to do what you got to do. But that was a real all-nighter. Very interesting though.
So let's talk about your life pre becoming a parliamentarian. What did Natasha Singh-Lewis do before she became a parliamentarian?
What did I do? I have 16 years of public service experience. So when I graduated from the Technical Institute in New Amsterdam, I came to Georgetown. During that period, I met my husband in Region 6. Um, and I came to Georgetown and I got employed. I sought employment at the Ministry of Education. I remember at that time it was Henry Jeffrey was the minister, and I was employed there as a secretary to the advisory commission, and I worked my way up. From there, I went to the University of Ghana the same year. I started. I did my first degree in sociology. I majored in sociology. And after that, I had most of my training. I had great guidance in education. I met really nice people who provided guidance for me. And so I was given the opportunity to do training in quality assurance in higher education. And you will know that that is not so new phenomenon in Guyana because it started in 2004, but really took off in 2012. And so I was given the opportunity to specialize my training in quality assurance in higher education in the Caribbean. And so that took me to, when I left education, I left as a technical officer at the Accreditation Council. During that time, I enrolled to do my master's at the University of Ghana. And it was my second year in the master's that I gained employment because I would have, um, I have that streak in me, you know, that I don't like to see injustice.
Hmm.
And so you can remember the time in pre 2015, Ghana was in turmoil like it is right now.
Hmm.
And as a young person then, I saw what the then Minister of Education was doing. And I thought by my own values that what she was doing is not right. And so when there was the campaign for general elections in 2014, the campaign started in 2014. The elections was in 2015. I resigned from that very um, respectable position as heading the agency for the Accreditation Council. I resigned. You know why? I didn't even consult my husband. I resigned because I thought that I can't take this nonsense anymore and I'm going to campaign. Now, in 2014, I did not belong to any political party,
Wow.
not, not a political party. But I thought this is Natasha, and this belongs to a population. And we need a change of government. I was having all these conversations with myself, nobody else. I took the action by myself. I think all my colleagues were very surprised when I resigned. And I said, this is bigger than what is happening, and everybody's got to put their own little bit to make a change. And that's what we fought for in 2015, a change. And so I thought, I don't have to belong to a party. I'm just going to go around to every one of these campaign rallies and find my support base and just tell them to vote for the coalition. And so I did that. And I was unemployed when the coalition came to government. I was unemployed for a whole year. And I
Okay.
said absolutely nothing to anybody until I met one of my colleagues who campaigned with me, a Muslim lady like me. And she said, no, we have to find a job for you. You worked for this.
Mhm.
And so in 2016, I was employed by the Ministry of Presidency, and I was attached at the Department of Social Cohesion, where I worked with Honorable Amna Ali for 1 year as a technical officer. And then there was a restructuring, and she left and went to social protection. And I continued the journey with Honorable Dr. George Norton. And so in 2017, I believe, or 2018, the head of that agency would have resigned. And so I was next in line. So I managed that department until August of 2020, when the government of Guyana disbanded social cohesion and, of course, fired me and all my staff.
Okay.
So,
So go ahead. Go ahead.
in a nutshell, pre um, member of parliament status, that was me. I am still very passionate about social cohesion. I believe it's one of the vehicles for development in this country.
I'm actually happy that you mentioned that your last statement because I actually have a fun question here. So the question is, having worked and edited the departments of social cohesion, from what you would have seen and experienced, do you believe Guyana will ever be one people, one nation, with one destiny, given what the current government is doing to destroy the fabric of our unity?
Okay, so I see your fan base. They also have elements of you with these hardball questions. Anyway, my honest my honest opinion is that we, and I say we in the context of young people, we have a different idea
Mhm,
of what unity is.
mhm,
We have a different experience. We did not live in 1967 and 57 when Burnham and Jagan fought and they formed their own parties and so on. We didn't live there. That's history. And my own opinion is history has its place, and that it is history. But we are living now and we have a future that we need to take care of. And like it or not, Guyanese are caring people and we are an educated people. The nonsense that you see is sometimes or many times from people who live outside of Guyana that causes trouble for us. If we decide what we understand by one people, one nation, and one destiny, and we decide how we're going to get there, then the young people will make that choice. I can tell you that the plans as laid out in the Social Cohesion Strategic Plan would have taken us 10 years in the future with great strides in achieving unity. Unity cannot be achieved by a concert, by a program with me and you. because we have a past, and our past starts at the time when the slaves came to Guyana, and then we had the indentured laborers. And so they came on two different circumstances. One was a slave deprived of everything, and one came with benefits. And so we started on equal basis. And so we continued like that. And you know, the politicians will tell you all sorts of things. But it will take you and I to understand what our history means, what our culture dictates, and how we can blend those things and make it work for us. Unity in Guyana is achievable, but it has to be dedicated hard work and honest work and speaking from the heart and acting from the heart.
Definitely. You just actually said the politicians will tell you certain things. Are you taking yourself out of that equation, or,
I
or
will
you said,
never, I will absolutely never, and I pray to God to guide me, never divide our people on any one of the issue that makes us different.
but do you
Because
consider
I
yourself
believe
as a politician?
I do, I am. And
You are.
I was very upset today when I made a presentation on a bill, and the installed minister stand up to say that we should not politicize the adoption of children. Now help me in the name of God. I am an elected leader to represent the people. What do you call those? Aren't they politicians? So how you can tell me come here to add my contribution to the law, the amendment to the law, but you don't want me to politicize it? Everything I say will be. That's who
100%.
I am.
Yeah.
But I will
Politics
never
revolves around everything.
use my platform to divide our people.
All right, so let's say goodnight to everybody in the chat. We have Earl Walcott, Stacy, Caleb, Nikki Nooks, MP Nima is in the house, Paulette Doris Williams. We have MP Christopher Jones, Rhonda Ailey, Alisa, Crummy Wing, Abel Sitaram. Remember, guys, please share the live. Please share the live. And if you have any questions to ask the Honorable MP, feel free. And we have a question here from Paulette Doris Williams. She said, "What are you doing?" I don't know if she just joined the program because you have already explained this question, but I'm gonna allow you to just give her a brief explanation of what you are doing as an individual to effect that change when it comes to making social cohesion a reality here in Guyana.
Paulette is my sister. She used
Okay,
to be my neighbor in Waterloo Street.
so she knows
And
you very well, man.
I wouldn't say she knows me very well
Okay,
because
if she want to
um,
be
by,
asking that question.
by the time we get to knowing each other, I would have moved from Waterloo Street to the East Bank.
Okay,
And so, but especially I would have moved before attaining the status of Member of Parliament. And so I say to Paulette that my work to effect change started prior 2014 when I stood up and I said for myself, I am not going to encourage, I'm not going to contribute, I'm not going to be a part of a corrupt regime, even if it meant that I had to give up my job. Not many people can do that, but I could have because I was not the only breadwinner in my home. And I choose not to compromise my values in life. And so I made that choice. And ever since then, I've taken a greater interest in the platform of social cohesion, building a better Ghana for our people. And let me say that Ghana is a better place with social cohesion.
okay.
We
So
can talk all about one Guyana, but we don't do anything about it.
Paulette actually just said the question was not for you; it was for the guy that actually commented before you. So I do
Oh,
apologize, but
that's
thanks for the
Abel
explanation,
Sitaram. And
uh,
Abel Sitaram is
MP.
not any stranger to me. He's
Okay.
a fella from West Coast Berbice who would have been a diehard PPP and then jumped over to the AFC and now I'm not sure where he is, but he seems to be all
I
over
know, I
the
know
place.
where he is. He's in the comment section right now watching us. So that's where he's
Yes,
at.
Abel is a little boy growing up in Bad Settlement that I knew. So
Okay, so
Abel has his own beef to I don't know, debone or whatever he's going to do with it.
yeah, Bill is good. God bless you, Bill, man. But anyway, I see my boy Kevin. Anais is in the building. Patricia, Amsterdam. Good evening to you guys. Remember to share the live. One of the questions, this is what I would have wanted to ask you for a very, very long time. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? What is one of
I
the
have to be.
biggest
I have to be.
misconception that people has about Natasha Singh?
Sorry, say that again.
One of the biggest misconception that people have about you. I'm
And there
sure
are
you would have
many.
heard
I've actually
rumors and stuff like that. What's one of the most consistent one?
a more recent one
Okay,
is
that'll
that
do.
in the political arena is I've heard people say I don't trust her because she's a PPP.
And this is people from
I
Afro
don't know where they're
AFC
from.
or
I don't know where they're from and where they belong, but
because I'm
that doesn't
thinking
matter to me.
people would trust you if you was
I
a PPP.
I am a proud PNC, and I have one of the things I don't do, and I've learned this the hard way, is that I don't pay attention to background noise
Mm,
because that's what it is. It's at the back there, and I'll leave that. Um, and that has its that rumor saying whatever it is has its genesis.
mm.
I do have. I was brought up in a home where my entire home circle supported the PPP,
Okay,
and like the rebel I am, I had to be different. I feel different. I behave different. I am different,
you are
and
different.
so I choose my own destiny. I work towards it. I know what my purpose is. And so I don't have to define myself by others' standards. I
Of
have my
course
own
not. Of
standards.
course not. Richard Sinclair, good evening to you. Philip, big up yourself, brother. Long time no see. What would you say to the youths like my age, and your and your eldest daughter's age? We have a tendency of saying like, "Oh, we don't care about politics. Me, I ain't nothing about politics." What would you say to people like that spread those kind of narrative that they concerned about
I,
politics?
I think that's a very don't care approach because you must care about who you are. You
Okay.
must care about your immediate surrounding, your community, your neighborhood. You must care as a person, as a responsible person, right? And I find that I have to speak to two sets of people: the ones who finish high school and can articulate for themselves what's happening, and the ones who are not fortunate enough to finish high school. So the narrative is not very different, but broken down for another group. You have to care because it is the politicians who make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
whether you like it or not. It is the politicians who make the decisions. Now, they are not supposed to make these decisions on their own. They don't pull out nothing out of their hat. They don't wake up one morning and feel, well, oh, I'm going to support this and oh, I'm not going to support that. The information should be coming from their constituency. And so, who is my constituency? The people on the ground in these communities. And so, if you don't be mindful of what's happening in your community, then anything can happen, which will determine what your life is going to be, or it will determine what kind of community you grew up in. And so, you must play your part as an individual in your family, and you must play your part in the development of your community. Or you find yourself, like we do have right now, some who sat on the fence, still sitting on the fence, some who said that and didn't come out, and their communities are deteriorating. Now, who's benefiting or who is suffering as a result of that? So
People.
I believe that the young people need to organize, mobilize, and speak out. And speaking out has several forms. Find the leader that you can get yourself, that you feel more comfortable with. Align yourself with your leader. Call on your leaders, especially the leaders in the coalition. We are all accessible. And so you find them on Facebook, message them, call them, have your matters resolved, but play a part. Do not come to the table and don't bring something to the table. A seat is always at the table. You just got to find your seat and take it.
Hmm. As I just tell people, you just got to get on the field. You don't even have to get the ball. Just
Yes,
get yourself on the field. When you get on the field, you can find a way to get the ball. So I totally
excellent.
understand what you're saying. But we've touched on your professional life, we've touched on your political life, we've touched on you as a parent, we've touched on your childhood, we've touched on your parents. Guess what we didn't talk about?
What is that?
You as a wife. You didn't mention you're married. You did mention, how does your professional life, or does your professional life have any negative effect on your marriage?
Okay. It does. It does. It does.
How do
But
you manage that?
I thank God every day that I have a husband who is very understanding. On a serious note, I do not give him enough kudos for being the caring, understanding person that he is. I think he understands that my passion drives me. And sometimes instead of him having me at home and dictating things at home, it's best she goes where she has to go and make that change. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But he is very, very supportive. There are times I can tell you when we have serious clashes. Like for instance, a couple of days we celebrated Yom Nabi. One of the things that we do, I have a very close knitted family, and so religious holidays they are out of bounds for anybody. It's family time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to Burmese to do our sacrifice. And then at 1 o'clock, I'm just getting up to say, well, I'm joining my colleagues in Region 6. It's just across the river because I was at Rosignol. I'm going to go do that meeting and then I'm going to come back. Now, any husband will get upset because it's a
Mm-hmm.
religious holiday. We're at family and you're going to work. Now, that was a hard decision for me to make, but I did anyway
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that that meeting was very important. And my leader might have said, "Okay, it's our holiday," but I knew at the back of his mind that he was depending on my support. And like I depend on many people's support, I respect my leader enough to negotiate with my husband something to make up later on, but let me go. I have to go. So we don't always see it. There are times when it doesn't work out with an amicable solution, but you gotta do what you gotta do. There are a lot of people who depend on me to do what I do. So, like I
Definitely.
often say, there's 7,000 people who voted for me so I can have a seat in the parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot begin to just let that go out of sight because I will become delinquent. And God forbid,
Definitely.
I never want to become delinquent.
Definitely. It's no secret that divorce, the divorce rate in our society has gone sky high, and women, believe it or not, women are filing for divorce more than men are filing for divorce these days.
Yeah.
I actually was married, and I got divorced. I was like, I didn't want no divorce. I would never divorce my wife. but she filed for a divorce. And then that's when I realized that women are filing for divorce more than anything these days. I'm not gonna ask you to expose how long you've been married, but what are some of the advice you can give to newlyweds or people that are going through any kind of tough tough patches in their relationship, their marriage actually, when it comes to going the course, sticking the course, and trying to prevail instead of running the courts and just giving it all up. What are some of the advice you would give to them?
That's not such a hard question. I do that
Okay,
all the time.
nice, nice.
I speak from experience, and I can tell you that when you get married, everything is rosy and shine because you're now getting to know the person. And for as long as the honey is in the moon, it works. But the honey doesn't stay there all the time,
Don't
right?
come back to earth.
The honey doesn't stay there all the time. And that's when you find that there are some problems, right? And when you have problems, you have to be able to keep your hands to your side. Boy or girl, man or woman, keep your hands to your side. And many times, for the woman, put some water in your mouth and keep that water there. And that helps. Patience. Because remember, you are accustomed to doing things your way. But when you get married, it's never about you, it's about us. And so right away, you recognize that there ought to be compromise. And if you belong to an East Indian family, like I come from an East Indian family, you'll understand the cultural aspect of that. Everybody gets into your business. And so it's never, the marriage is never about you and your husband anymore. It's always about all of them and what they think and their opinion and so on. You've got to be able to manage that. I don't know if that happens in the black family, but my husband is black, right? So I'm very fortunate. And my husband is older than I am. So I have that level of experience and patience and everything that helps me to blossom into the person I am. I don't have so much family drama as I would say, right? And so I have matured into this person that is a lot more patient than before. And so I can tell you from experience, right? I've been down a long road. I've been married many years, and every year it is different
Mm,
because you evolve as you grow, you evolve, you see things differently, you want different things in life. And every time you have to make a different decision, you don't make it for you alone because you have a family. And so you make that for you and your family. Like when I made the decision to accept being a member of parliament, I consulted with my children, and one of them said to me, "Well, mommy, we have to have a different security system." Right away, they started thinking,
mm.
not for themselves, but for me. And so I encourage that between my husband and I, but among the children too. We must look out for each other. We must talk to each other. We must compromise to accommodate the greater good. And so
Definitely.
patience is very important, and focusing on your goals as a couple or as a family is important.
Definitely. So, was it yesterday or I think Sunday? While we was going to work, me and a couple of my colleagues was having this conversation of privacy in marriage. Do you think that there should be privacy, basically individuality? What we was talking about was when you have your cell phone, your husband have your cell phone, you don't know your husband password and he don't know your password. Should that be allowed in marriage?
Um, I'll give you an Islamic perspective.
Okay.
Do not interfere with that which that does not concern you. I
But
practice that.
but
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 as a
when
wife,
but when you get married, aren't you? one now instead of I and you. So anything that
Hold on,
concerns,
man.
okay, sorry, sorry,
Hold on,
sorry,
man.
sorry,
So there
sorry.
is always the principle and the best practice.
Okay,
But when you have to align yourself to that, many days, based on how my husband behaved, based on his explanation for certain things, I found myself in his phone because I wasn't happy with what I saw. But I knew at the back of my mind that that will cause problems. I did it anyway. It did cause problems anyway. It did cause problems that required us to seek counseling. And that's something I want to say to young couples. The situation is not up to you alone to resolve. Always seek help. And help is should come from people that you trust, not necessarily the people in the church, but the people who you trust.
the people who you trust.
Yes.
All right, so we've been here for an hour and 15 minutes. I know you had an hectic day, so
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
gonna
Yes.
allow you to go any farther. But I did give you permission to ask me questions at the beginning of the program. You never asked any questions, so
I did.
you did?
I
No, you
did.
did.
Yes.
What question you
But
asked?
but let me ask you a few questions
Yeah,
now.
yeah, 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 yeah. Of course.
What are your future plans
My future plans in terms of what? My
of
relationship
of
life. What?
of you? I said to you that I know what my purpose is in life.
Yeah.
And because I have found my purpose in life, I am able to plan how my
Okay.
life should go because I want to fulfill that purpose.
Definitely.
And
So
the greater goal is that when I die, my actions on earth will allow me to meet my creator and to go to heaven. That's
okay.
my overall goal.
Okay, so currently, my only obligations, well, I have two obligations currently that I'm focused on right now. One is to be a better father to my son. I have a 5 year old son. That's one of my obligations that I live for on a daily basis. And number two is to dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of Guyana in any
Mhm.
way that I can. So that's the two things that I'm focusing on holistically, you know. So that's my purpose.
Wonderful. As a
Yeah.
young person, you said to me that you are divorced.
Yes,
Tell me, tell me, how did you manage that process?
how did I manage it in terms of what? Accepting it in terms of, be more
All of
specific.
it. When this whole shenanigan
So
started.
so I I just actually mention it. Whenever you decide to get married, there's no more I and you. That's just my way and my way of viewing marriage. It's
Mm,
us. Everything that you want to do, it should be a decision that was made by both parties. And what I did something. I was selfish. I actually broke the oath that we made in front of God and decided to come back to Guyana without consulting my wife. That's what I did to
oh,
live. So we didn't sit down, we didn't talk about it, we didn't plan it because the plan was we was gonna get married and then she was gonna come up to America and we was gonna build a life there. But then, after working at the airport and meeting all these multi-millionaires and these CEOs, they used to always advise me to come back to Guyana, come back to Guyana, go back to Guyana. Guyana is gonna be the next big thing. Go back, go back. And I just got a brainwave a day and I just decided to just pack up, sell out wherever I had to sell out and just come back to Guyana. And that's when my wife found out. After I came over to visit her, and then everything just made a 360 turn and started going downward. So that's, you know,
is it safe to say that she was in love with the idea of going to live overseas?
I don't think so. I think she genuinely loved me. And
Mhm.
but I just feel that it was, you know, everything that happens when you're in a marriage, especially, everybody has to take blame for it. It's never just you did this and you alone should take blame. Everybody gotta, look into themselves and see what you would have
Yeah.
done to contribute to that person action or whatever. So, I just always take the blame because it happened because of what I did.
Hmm.
If
Mhm.
I didn't spark that fire, it would have never been able to lit. But
Mhm.
you know, I she did something for me that I could have never ever done for myself. She made me a parent, so I will always be grateful to her for that, and I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
always love her for that. But I've accepted that I did something wrong when it comes to
Mhm.
being a husband, and that's why I could live so freely and I could be stress free and stuff like that. So yeah.
Moving on to the next phase now. You'll be a little bit more careful. You'll understand the importance of consultation in any relationship. Doesn't have to be
Mhm.
marriage alone. In
Mhm.
any
Mhm.
relationship.
Communication, yep, and not just
And
communicating,
Jamal, I
comprehending, yeah.
know from interacting with you that you're a very focused young man. And that's something that our young people need to understand. That you don't jump all over the place.
Mm,
You work hard to achieve what you set out to. You work honestly and you set out to ensure that when you get to that next step, you already have the foundation to go on.
mhm.
I see you have Christopher Jones here. Christopher Jones says it's a nice program. I want to
Yeah.
say shout out to Chris. I missed you today in Parliament. And Nima, today was the best day. I'm happy. I'm not tired. Trust me, I'm not tired. I'm according to my daughter, go do your thing. You can vibe with the people. I'm not sure what that means, but I feel good being here tonight. Jamal, I want to say thank you for having me. I have never, ever done this in my whole life to sit
Mhm.
down and talk to somebody, especially about my childhood days. Um,
Mhm.
we have not touched many of the other issues that I really want to be able one day to talk about. For instance, in my teenage life, I would have attempted suicide as a young
Okay.
person. But I really want to have that as a testimony for young people to understand that you can do whatever you want to do if you stay focused
Mhm.
and you try to work with all the difficulties, but you ensure that you keep going and never give up. And so I want to say thank you, Jamal, for having me here. It's always awesome to be in your company, whether it's virtual or otherwise. And I know that you are an inspiration to young people. They look up to you. So you know you have to set an example for them.
Definitely.
That I want to say thank you for having me on the program. I have my sister from another mother, Vanessa from Kurivaton. She is watching, and Granny from Kurivaton is Mrs. Barlow. She is watching too. And I want to say good night to all of my peeps who would come out and support me every Monday night on Building Bridges. I want to say thank you for your support. I cannot do what I do on a daily basis without your support. I grassroots. I love to be in the communities. I have a passion for advocating for the less fortunate, and I will do that at any cost. Um, Before I go, I want to say that I owe a lot of gratitude to my parents, especially my mother, for holding me together, especially during my teenage years when all I wanted to do was to rebel because I didn't understand my body changes um, mentally and otherwise. But she held me together. And today I am stronger because she would have done that for me. And so I say thank you to my mother. I'm not sure if she's watching, but I'm going to send a link to her so she can see she's done her bit as a mother,
Mhm.
and she has really add value to my life. And so, for all the mothers who are watching me this evening, you have a significant role to play. You should be an active parent, not a security guard, but an active parent. All right. And so, Jamal, thank you for having me.
No, so let me just say thanks for being here. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. You know, you're a great inspiration, not just to me, but to the people of Guyana. And when I sent out the broadcast earlier today, I was surprised that a lot of my younger friends know who you was, and they was anticipating this interview. So just continue doing what you're doing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will continue to support you. Keep being awesome. Keep being unique and keep being genuine. And also, thanks for giving, for basically clarifying the meaning of the intoxicated word at the beginning, because a lot of persons always, correlate the word to alcohol. But it's true
Yeah.
what you said. We can be intoxicated with so many different stuff, and
Love.
the number one thing is
Intoxicated with
love.
love.
Intoxicated with love.
Yes.
So well,
Yeah.
me. I'm intoxicated with hard work every single day. So
That too. That too.
yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Thanks. I can't thank you
Thank
enough
you.
for this, man. And the
And
fans
thank you
loving it,
for
man.
our comment section was lit this
Yeah,
evening.
it was lit.
Um,
It was
even
dope.
you're a
It was
special
dope.
kind of special.
Yeah, man. So I know you gotta go and do your stuff, because you've been out
Yes,
all
I
day, so we're
haven't
gonna
had
allow
dinner,
you to
so
do
I'm
your
going
stuff.
to go do that now.
All right, then. So enjoy the rest of your evening, MP.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And good
Bye bye.
evening, everyone. Stay safe.
So yes, people, there we are, the honorable Natasha Singh-Lewis, member of Parliament. Dope, 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 dope. Dope being, man. Dope being. Beautiful soul. So on behalf of myself and the Intoxicated brand, I would like to thank say thanks to everyone that has been in tune and everyone that has contributed, whether it was sharing the comment, sharing the link, or commenting in the comment section, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. I actually rode through the rain last night, so I'm getting a fresh cold. So just excuse me. That's why I'm drinking so much water. So I do look forward to see you guys probably on Thursday evening or next Tuesday. Stay up, people, and stay safe. God bless you all.